Hi, everyone. Welcome to my session. I'm Dr. Alex Walters from the Center for the Advancement of Teaching and Learning at the Medical University of South Carolina. And today I'm going to walk you through how we built and implemented our Fundamentals of Digital Accessibility course in D2L Brightspace, and more importantly, why this work and initiative matters. So what you'll see is what does accessible design look like in practice, and then how we used Brightspace tools to support it, and how we also motivated participation through awarding a micro credential using the awards feature in Brightspace. So here's our roadmap for the session. We're going to start with why does digital accessibility matter? Then briefly, we'll go into what accessibility looks like at MUSC. And from there, I'll walk you through our Brightspace course. So I'll talk about the design, the structure, the tools, and the strategies. And then I'll wrap up by looking at our micro-credential approach and then some key takeaways that hopefully you can apply to your institution. So why does digital accessibility matter? So digital accessibility means designing digital content so all individuals, including those with visual, auditory, motor, or cognitive disabilities, can fully engage with it. But what's really important is this: accessibility benefits everyone. It helps learners with different preferences, people accessing content on mobile devices, or anyone experiencing temporary challenges or barriers. And we wanted to emphasize in our work that accessibility is about designing for variability from the start and ultimately the impact this has on all learners. So I thought it was important to talk about accessibility experience in higher education. So to me, this image reflects how accessibility can feel in this context. So traditionally, we've put learners in places with limited accessibility where we have to build ladders to get them to a point where they can learn. Another way to think about this is that for some learners, navigating a course without accessible design is like trying to cross a gap without a bridge, or again, needing those ladders to scale the canyon and get back to a level playing field. It's not just inconvenient, it's exclusionary. So our goal is to remove those barriers before learners ever start to encounter them. And I think this model illustrates the progression from exclusion to true inclusion. Again, traditionally in education, the model of inclusion has been to first pull out learners with barriers and provide them with separate instruction. And then next, we've included them in the classroom or course, but kept them separate from others. Third, we've included them with other learners, but in a structured way that isn't always pedagogically sound. So ideally, we want to get to this square, which is on the bottom right of this image, and where there are no boundaries, and we meet learners where they are in terms of preference and need by designing thoughtfully from the very beginning. So overall in higher education, we've moved from excluding learners to including them, but oftentimes in ways that still can create stigma or barriers. So we want to emphasize that our kind of guiding light at MUSC was that true inclusion happens when we do recognize learner variability and preferences and we design accordingly. So I want to talk a little about the Medical University of South Carolina. So we are a large academic health system with thousands of students, residents, and faculty. Because of that scale and the diversity of our learners, accessible design isn't optional, it's essential. So we have 6 colleges at MUSC: the College of Dental Medicine, College of Graduate Studies, College of Health Professions, College of Medicine, College of Nursing, and College of Pharmacy. So knowing that we had this collection of colleges with all these students and different residents and faculty members, we wanted to make sure that we could create a solution that could scale across all of these disciplines and different roles, which led to the development of this Fundamentals of Digital Accessibility course. So this is our Fundamentals of Digital Accessibility course in Brightspace. It takes place in the new content experience, which is very exciting, and provides learners with a 6-week immersive experience around why digital accessibility is important, strategies for implementing accessible content, and then tools and ways you can make that happen. These principles are embedded throughout the course design, from content all the way to the assessments and also the resources. So let's talk about a a few fast facts about the Fundamentals of Digital Accessibility course. It's been offered since 2021 in Brightspace. It's open to all faculty and staff across the MUSC enterprise. So again, we have all these different groups, all these different folks that are interested in this work. So this course is open to everyone. So far, we've had over 600 participants that have signed up and gone through the course. The course consists of 12 modules, which I'll talk more about shortly. And then finally, we were able to have a micro-credential implemented in 2023. Previously, folks that went through the course earned a certificate, but now we have an official MUSC micro-credential. And again, I'll talk more about that shortly. So let's talk about the course structure. So that's really structured into two phases. First, the why, including understanding the need for accessible content, how it impacts learners, and assistive technologies that can be used to support this. And then we move to the how. So we focus on actually creating accessible content using tools like Brightspace. So participants do have things to complete in this course. They complete discussions and applied assignments, and that ultimately allows them to earn that official MUSC badge. So let's talk about the why. I know I mentioned that as this being really the first part of the course. So these examples from the course show how we frame the why. We help participants understand why accessibility is important through various readings, videos, resources. And again, we talk about how assistive technologies interact with course materials. And participants actually have an opportunity to experiment with a screen reader to gain a better understanding of its use and importance, since that's a really prominent use of assistive technology for our learners. So this awareness is, of course, critical because accessibility becomes more meaningful when that impact is understood. And then we move on to the strategies. So we emphasize active learning in this course through applied strategies. So participants will remediate real content. They can choose from a Word document, PowerPoint, PDF, any type of content to work on and remediate and submit for review by to me as the facilitator. They also engage in a discussion. They reflect on accessibility in their own teaching in their own context, and they really apply and talk about concrete examples of how they plan to implement these principles. This not only makes the course informational, but it also makes it very practical and something they can apply right away once they complete the course. And then we have the tools. So Brightspace plays a big role here. And we, of course, highlight tools in Brightspace like caption video, the alternative text for images, the built-in accessibility checker. These tools make it easier for instructors to build accessible content without having those advanced technical skills. So we've had several faculty members comment that they had no clue that these existed, and now they're actively using and implementing them when they are designing content within Brightspace. Both the caption option and the accessibility checker are by far the most popular tools within Brightspace for accessibility, and we're actively working on also exploring the Accessibility Plus tool in Brightspace to see what it can offer in the future as well. So now that you have an idea of how the course and some of the things we actually do within it, I want to talk a little about our micro-credential. So to recognize completion, participants can earn a digital badge using the Brightspace Awards tool. This badge is tied to module completion as well as assignments and discussions. So we award the badge after all requirements are met, and I, as the facilitator, have reviewed each discussion forum and assignment and provided feedback. I want to mention that this micro-credential is vetted through our digital badge committee at MUSC, where members must fill out an application form with questions that inform why the badge is necessary and what value it adds to the course or educational experience. So folks can actually submit this application, it's reviewed by the committee, and then ultimately they're informed of the decision if they're able to offer that micro-credential. So we do have a really thorough vetting process. So this layer, of course, adds motivation and provides a tangible outcome participants can share. So we encourage folks to not only add these badges if they'd like to their signature at MUSC, but they can share them on their personal websites or even LinkedIn. We've had several participants actually share to their network, and we've gained some traction there with folks knowing about the course both internally and externally as well. So let's end here with some key takeaways. So you, of course, want to, again, I really suggest starting with the why first and then the how. We found that makes a really big difference in gaining buy-in as folks start to interact with the course. Remember that small changes make a big impact. That's something that I discuss through my weekly communications that I have with learners in this course. Anything you can do can have a massive impact, no matter how small you think it is. Of course, leverage the tools that are available in Brightspace. Again, I know I mentioned a few here, but really make sure you're informed of those and understand the impact they have on accessibility, and make sure that folks who are using Brightspace are made aware of them and are using them to their full advantage. And then leadership's key in this work. You want to explain why it's necessary to getting that buy-in from leadership, and encourage them also to be a part of your course. We had several folks in leadership when this course was launched that actually took the course, went through it, provided feedback, and it really helped with that buy-in and having them really communicate and push the course out to other folks at the university. And finally, and I say this a lot when I talk about accessibility, remember that it's a journey, not a destination. The goal is progress, not perfection. So as long as we're considering how to make our content more accessible, how to make it more equitable to learners, then we really are doing great work in this area. So I want to thank you so much for your time today. If you'd like to connect with me or learn more, feel free to reach out. I have my email included on this slide, and I'd like to hear how you're approaching accessibility at your own institution, or ideas that you might have that we can all work together on to create a more inclusive educational experience for all of our learners. So thank you again so much for watching this presentation.